Welcome to the Produce Moms Podcast, where we believe there is a produce mom in all of us. I'm Lori Taylor, founder and CEO of the Produce Moms. For 10 years, I sold fresh produce to over 300 grocery stores in the U.S. And today, my team and I are fully focused on inspiring people to eat more fruits and vegetables. This show is just one of the ways that we hope to inspire you and your family to eat more produce and live a better life. If you like what you're hearing on the podcast, join our community of almost 40,000 in all 50 states and over 30 countries by visiting theproducemoms.com/subscribe. And be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes. Thanks for being here. Enjoy today's show. Welcome back, everyone. Today on the Produce Moms Podcast, I am thrilled to welcome a woman that really is, she is such a superstar. I have had the chance to hear her speak, and the moment I saw and heard her on the podium and was able to witness her contagious passion for all things child nutrition and school food service, I knew I had to invite Dr. Katie Wilson to be a guest on the Produce Moms Podcast. And she is here today. This woman has served in various capacities, supporting child nutrition advancement in the United States, working with schools, working with the USDA, and today she is serving as the executive director of the Urban School Food Alliance. You guys, these are some of the largest school districts in the world, and most definitely within the United States. And just through the Urban School Food Alliance, they're serving 3.6 million meals per day. And this woman is the executive director, and her passion is leading the charge. This is going to be a great show. Dr. Wilson, thank you for being here.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thank you. I really am just so inspired when your presence at the microphone. I had the pleasure of hearing your keynote at the United Fresh Start Foundation conference in early 2020. And the minute I heard you speak, I was like, this woman moves my soul. You are what just, you do the work that matters the most, and your passion is contagious. So thank you for what you do. And I can't wait to have you share your story with our listeners. I know I'm going to learn more, and it's going to be a great show.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah. So please help us understand, what is the Urban School Food Alliance?
Well, the Urban School Food Alliance was really established back in 2012 with the 6 largest districts of the country that came together. And it was the school nutrition directors that came together and joined a nonprofit. So they were all volunteering their time plus doing their full-time jobs. And they really came together under one mission, and that is to collectively use all of the experience they have, but also the power of the numbers that they have, the sheer volume.
Sure.
To look at the school food as a whole and say, what can we do to move the dial, to change the marketplace, to really disrupt things in the school nutrition arena so that we're making sure we have the best food in these programs that we're serving all these students. And so not only the best food, but then they also wanted to think about, if we come together and demand the best food, the price will also come down. And so those were 2 of the main pillars that they started with. And then there came this other piece, and that was environmental impact. So what's the environmental impact of all of these large districts in everything from the kinds of foods we serve, the way we serve food, how do we reduce waste, how do we reduce the paper products we're using? So all of that sort of came together collectively, and we now have 12 of the largest districts of the country that are in our membership. You have to have 50,000 enrolled students or larger, just to give you a sense of what that size is.
Wow.
To become part of the Urban School Food Alliance. And I am the very first executive director paid staff. So they have, all these school nutrition directors have kept this running by volunteer time and with their sheer passion as well. So I'm very excited to be on board and to really try to move this whole program further ahead with some staff.
Right. Yeah, no, congratulations. And you are moving it ahead and forward, and your passion will continue to drive this. I know that. Let's share a little bit about I'm on the website right now, everyone. It's urbanschoolfoodalliance.org. And I would like to call out the districts that are members right now. A lot of them, as you know, Dr. Wilson's saying, these are the largest districts in the US. So these cities and these districts, it's not going to surprise you. These districts correlate with some of the largest cities in our nation. So New York City schools, Chicago public schools, Los Angeles Unified School District, Miami, Dallas, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Boston, Palm Beach, and DeKalb County. Wow. And Dr. Wilson, please remind everyone who's listening the amount of meals you serve annually at the Urban School Food Alliance. And I mentioned at the top of the show, 3.6 million meals per day. What's that equate in an annual serving?
Well, I don't have that number right in front of me. So I know, though, that you probably have it on the website easier than I have it.
It's a lot. So I'll go ahead and share it.
Go ahead, yes.
635 million meals served annually.
And I think that equates to about over $800 million in procurement.
It does.
So we are a huge spend. We definitely invest a lot in communities. We hire a lot of employees. And I think that with those sheer numbers as well, we have a real obligation to tell everyone about the quality of school meals and what's really going on in the school meal arena.
Yeah. And if you can do it in a district where you're serving, how many, you said 50,000 and above. So these are school food service operations that are serving 50,000 meals or above per day, roughly. Is that a fair estimate?
Yes. I mean, they have to have 50,000 enrolled students or larger in order to become part of our program. And these districts also, because they center around large urban districts, they probably are also serving breakfast, lunch, after school or a dinner program, a snack. They probably are doing the fresh fruit and vegetable program.
Sure.
And many of them also participate in summer feeding, as well as many of our districts have also gone into feeding children during holiday breaks.
Right. It's important work. And you think about all of that. This is quite the operation you have going on. And I also think too, when you consider these kind of numbers and the fact that all of your participatory districts are in a position where they can get it done, and they can get it done in the short, 25 to 30 minutes that they have to serve the masses of children during each school lunch period, for instance. I feel like it's just a great point of inspiration for any district of any size to realize, wow, if they can do it, we can do it.
Well, I think that's also some of the responsibility that we feel we hold. And that is when we start these initiatives to really move the marketplace, to sort of be the change makers. I think a really good example is this was the organization that really went after, for instance, chicken and decided that they were going to go out and procure never ever antibiotic-free chicken for their school nutrition programs. Industry pushes back. They say, no, our sheer volume, we're going to do it anyway. Right now we're working with George Washington University to write a standard for turkey, because that's the next one we're going after.
Wow.
But for chicken, they did it. They put it on their bids, and now it is the kind of chicken that most of us are purchasing, even in fast food restaurants.
Wow.
So we're change makers, and they push. And so those are the kinds of things they look at in the school marketplace to say, what can we do to sort of disrupt the market and make sure that, like I said in the beginning, the best quality food is in those cafeterias for those students. Yeah,
I love you. I love that you are committed to the quality and your mantra of making sure that these students have access to the best quality food. A lot of folks who have heard me speak or heard me get on my soapbox about school meals, they know that my two children, Joe and Mac, they go to school every day with lunch money, not a lunchbox, because I really believe in school meals. I believe in supporting the school food service operation. And I know, because I'm so educated on the rigid, standards, and whether that relates to the nutritional standards, the sourcing standards, the food safety standards that exist within the school cafeteria, I know that my children are getting a nutrient-dense, well-prepared, highly thoughtful meal. And so I want all households and all moms to think that way and understand that, I just think there's a lot of misconceptions out there about school meals.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think I've spent most of my career working at trying to get rid of some of those some of those thoughts and some of those conceptions, because I really do encourage people to go find out what's going on in their school nutrition program and their school cafeterias.
Mm-hmm.
I too, we raised two boys. When they were 13 and 14 years old, I was the school nutrition director, so they couldn't come home and tell me there's nothing to eat,
Right.
because I knew differently. And so many times when I would take calls from parents that said, oh, my child didn't have anything to eat today, fresh fruit and vegetable bars are available in most of our districts. Most of the time, the children can take the quantities that they'd like. So I really encourage people to go and check and see what's going on with their school nutrition program. I encourage them to talk to their school nutrition folks, and even in individual schools. Introduce yourself, and let them know what you're looking for and what you're interested in. And sometimes we can't always believe, first of all, in social media. Kids love to do things to meals and then take a picture and say, oh, look, this was my school meal. Well, it really wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so we know from our standpoint, and our directors are not directors of these districts without a lot of experience, without a lot of education. They're the top of the top. They're the top of the crowd when they get these positions in these large size districts. So
Sure.
these programs are top notch, and they are constantly looking for better foods, healthier foods. We have an initiative to continue to increase our local procurement. Most of that is produce. Some of it can be protein items or even wheat. But right now we're at about $95 million that we're
Wow.
investing in local communities because we're buying local products for
By
our program.
supporting the local farmers and artisans.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
we're very serious about that as well. So I think that there's a large amount of things that are going on that people don't really understand about school meals. And that's kind of the frustrating part, when people don't go and find out for themselves what's going on in their school program.
Right. So it sounds like a great first step for anyone listening is to simply get to know the folks that are serving the meals and running the operation at your son or daughter's school.
And I think parents can make change as well, and parents and guardians and family members, because sometimes the local school district's school nutrition program is only as good as the administration really supports it for. So in many cases, I've known many groups of parents that have really made change in their program because they wanted change. And so they went in, started focus groups, started a parent group, talked to PTAs and PTOs, and really encouraged the district at the district level that you want more fresh cooked food. You want more salad bars. You want fresher food and more local produce in your program. You don't have to accept prepackaged meals, for instance. You
Sure.
can get something different if the parents become active in what's going on.
Yeah, that's great insights and great call to action for all of our listeners today. Let's, with it being the Produce Moms podcast, we have to talk about fruits and vegetables. And I know from hearing you speak that, goodness, Dr. Wilson, no one is more passionate in this space than you as it relates to fruits and vegetables and school meals. So let's talk about that. How I really believe that schools are a gateway to changing the consumption habits surrounding fruits and vegetables in the United States. I've been a staunch advocate and active in political action to support this. I'd love your thoughts on it. How important are fruits and vegetables? And a step further, how important are your schools for the increased consumption of fruits and vegetables?
I think you're right on target. I think schools are meant to teach kids, get them ready for adulthood, get them ready to be successful in their lives and in their careers. And the school nutrition program is no different. And we all know that the science shows that fruits and vegetables enhance all of our well-being and our health outcomes. So schools, and I always believed this, even when I was a school nutrition director, schools have the obligation to continue to introduce children to all different varieties of fruits and vegetables. And so I think even from the Urban School Food Alliance perspective, we try really hard to introduce students to a variety of fruits and vegetables, try to introduce them to new ones. Some are more local, some are more exotic. But that's where kids do get the beginning of learning that there's more out there than what they might be exposed to, for instance, at home or within their own culture. Another thing we try to do is do things culturally appropriate. We try to bring in new and culturally appropriate ideas so the kids get to learn that people eat different things in different parts of the world. And but in school we're meant to educate kids, and the school nutrition program is also part of that piece of education. And we really need to be part of the educational process, that we're as much educators as anybody else in that school, because we're teaching kids lifelong healthy habits. And if they get exposed to it in school, and we've had so many situations, even in rural Wisconsin where I'm from, the school nutrition director started doing a produce item of the month. And the local stores and even some of the big box stores called and said, okay, please let us know what it's going to be, because so many people come in here and want to buy it. So, that's a great way for kids to even educate families.
Yes.
It starts at school, but we have an obligation to educate kids about this. And certainly for health and well-being, fresh fruits and vegetables are one of the number one sources that we want to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also love what you just said about the cultural component. One of my favorite lines and something that motivates me with the work we do at the Produce Moms is the fact that food is culture, and you are learning so much. You're maintaining your household traditions, your ethnic traditions or your religious traditions. Food's part of that. And it's great that you're recognizing the cultural component, and school cafeterias are providing that gateway environment for young children to understand the fact that this is culture. This is how people around the world celebrate. And and I also really love the concept of don't yuck my yum. Like it's something I'm trying to really teach my children.
Yes.
And I know that school food service has been a huge catalyst for educating children on the cultural component of food.
And I think you can find 100 stories from teachers and even school nutrition professionals that tell you how food brought kids together. Mm-hmm. And especially people that are new to our country and they eat a certain type of food because of their cultural background. And by educating other kids about that food, all of a sudden those children are all friends. It really does bring people together. So we find it, every one of our districts finds it very, very important to introduce children to new foods through cultural experiences.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. So there's been some proposed changes to USDA school meals. Can you help shed some light and clarity on that? What it means for organizations like the Urban School Food Alliance?
Sure. I think, and I was with the Obama administration as Deputy Undersecretary. So I was there at the end when all of these standards were getting put into place. And some of the new standards, I think people kind of overreacted to the proposal that's out there. We really put a statement out that said, please read the whole proposal. There are definitely some common sense kinds of things that are being proposed. And I know people have said, well, look, you're reducing the number of fruits and vegetables. We don't really agree with that. There were some standards that, for instance, in breakfast, in the cafeteria, you have to offer 1 cup of fruit for breakfast, but a student only has to take a half a cup. And outside of the cafeteria, in the classroom at a kiosk, you have to make the student take a whole cup.
Right. So
rather than just the half a cup. So there were some things like that we felt were pretty common sense. Mm-hmm. We still have the vegetable subgroups, which we really agree with because it teaches children to eat a variety of vegetables in the colored subgroups, which helps you identify things easy.
Yep.
And so what they did is they just balanced out the different quantities that you had to give from each subgroup to make it easier to do. And then the extra that you have to still serve, the total quantity for the end of the week did not go away. Mm-hmm. The extra that you have to still serve, you can pick from any subgroup. So now that we're buying all this fresh produce from our farmers, we'd be able to use any of those fresh produce, rutabaga, kohlrabi's, beets, whatever. We don't have to go back to a specific subgroup to make up those extra vegetables.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, and when I read the whole proposal, I actually, the takeaway I had was this is a very big positive as it relates to plate waste and food waste in schools.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's only one we're really not we don't really care too much about, and that there's a proposal in there to use flour made from vegetables.
Correct.
You make it into pasta, you can serve it as a vegetable. We don't agree. That's not a good way to teach children about vegetables.
Yeah, and I'm on record in agreement with you on that.
We'll come out with that one, not in agreement with that one. But, we have to serve fresh water, potable water every day to students free of charge. It's part of the requirement of the regulation. But we can't put any fruit or vegetables into it to flavor it now. But the new proposal says, yes, you can put fresh fruits and vegetables into the water. Well, that makes sense. Why wouldn't you? So we really just encourage people to read the whole proposal before they panic.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So, we're closing in on our time today, but I, want to make sure that folks know I've already called out the website, everyone, urbanschoolfoodalliance.org. How can, stakeholders in the food supply chain, as well as, moms like me, how can we support the work you're doing, Dr. Wilson?
I think for the people that are at home, to encourage children to participate in the program. It really is a program that needs participation in order to be successful. And then again, I think you need to get engaged. Go look at it. Go see for yourself. Go have a conversation with the people that are preparing that food. And don't believe everything you read. Go see for yourself what's really out there. And overall, and I think people that are in the marketplace, I know I challenged the produce industry. What are you doing to help us encourage fruits and vegetables in the school nutrition setting? The one link that's still missing is nutrition education in our schools. We do not have a good K-12 nutrition education that tells kids why we're making these changes, why it's important to eat better and healthier foods. And so I think even from the industry, the more you can help us educate children and families in general about why these things are important, I think the better off we are. But I've always said school meals are really the best safety net this country has in order to teach children health and wellness as they develop and mature and start to make their own decisions as they get older.
Isn't that the truth? Thank you so much for being our guest today on the show. We always let our guests, close out the show, thank our listeners, and any final remarks that you might have. But I just want to applaud you for the work that you are doing, Dr. Wilson. I want to thank the Urban School Food Alliance for their leadership and their commitment as it relates to providing, children all across the United States with access to fresh produce on a daily basis and providing every student they serve with a thoughtful, well-prepared, nutrient-dense meal. It really is phenomenal work. So thank you all very much for that. And please sign us off from the show today.
All right. Well, thank you. And thank you for those kind words. I really do appreciate it because I truly believe that school meals are the best investment for the health and well-being of students. And it does help them prepare to be ready for the classroom as well as making better choices as they grow into adulthood. So I hope that people invest in school meals and they let even their legislators know that school meals are the best investment this country has to offer. So thank you very, very much.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Produce Moms Podcast. If you or someone you know would like to be a featured guest, just send an email to lori@theproducemoms.com. We know there is a produce mom in you because there's a produce mom in all of us. Join our community on Facebook and all social platforms. Help us change the way America eats. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.